The galactic security briefing was supposed to be routine, just another overly dramatic update about humanity's unpredictable behavior. That illusion exploded the moment USTOR's top brass projected the footage onto the war table. HE, human woman, tan, jacked, and entirely too calm, kneeling beside a ticking plasma warhead while muttering something unintelligible to her team. The camera mic, which by then had stopped melting from background radiation, picked up her final words before she reprogrammed the device using a spoon and an energy drink can. "Hold my hydration pack." What followed could only be described as a quantum insult to logic. The warhead didn't just deactivate, it politely apologized, renamed itself Steve, and now serves as a DJ in a Martian nightclub. USTOR Command's central AI suffered a core logic spill trying to calculate the sequence of events, and 3 galactic officials resigned from reality stress. Across the room, Grand Strategist Blorbax, a sentient gelatin tactical theorist, gurgled with audible horror. "She destabilized a Class 9 device with sarcasm and a snack utensil," he whimpered. "That's not warfare. That's mimetic terrorism." Lieutenant Mervick, the robotic analyst perched beside him, stuttered as smoke rose from his cooling fans. Recalculating. Error, systemic anomaly detected, threat level, Mom." Meanwhile, Fleet Admiral Zarkon V, wrapped in so much ceremonial armor he resembled a mobile filing cabinet, stared dead-eyed at the screen. "She insulted my war doctrine," he whispered, haunted. "She called it cosplay." Back on Earth, or what passes for it after 6 corporate rebrands, Commander Jenna Briggs was in the middle of her morning chaos, balancing a toddler on her hip, fixing her ship's FTL drive with duct tape and a bent spoon, and sipping from a cracked thermos labeled Universal Problem Solver. The call from USTOR came through on her wristband, but she silenced it with a parenting app and a tactical glare. "Not now," she muttered. "Mommy's reverse splicing quantum coils." In orbit, a reconnaissance drone captured her casually humming while the ship's internal laws of physics visibly folded for 10 seconds before rebooting in shame. Galactic Intelligence officially listed this moment as the beginning of the hydration pack incident, a timeline anomaly so severe that entire simulation departments began holding support groups. Her phrase, already a meme among field troops, began, spreading like a virus across alien networks. "Hold my hydration pack" was now legally classified as a Class 4 incitement trigger in 6 sectors. Council meetings descended into screaming matches over how to interpret the phrase in diplomacy protocols. One species attempted to ban human liquids altogether. Another worshipped the thermos as a relic of entropy. As reports continued to pour in, Jenna disabling a gravity bomb with a shoelace, outmaneuvering a cloaked cruiser using traffic cones, and stabilizing a wormhole while singing Baby Shark, USTOR collapsed into chaos. Emergency meeting after emergency meeting only confirmed one thing: they had no idea how to simulate her. Mervick tried. He really did. His 6th attempt at modeling Jenna's behavior ended in his logic core drawing a smiley face and writing "Wa-tsu" across all systems. Meanwhile, Jenna, entirely unaware she was melting galactic diplomacy, popped her neck, reloaded a nail gun modified into a particle driver, and told her kid, "Strap in, sweetie. Mama's about to rearrange causality." Back at USTOR, Blorbax had finally stopped weeping, only to flinch when someone opened a can of soda in the break room. "It's happening again," he sobbed. The fizz means something." No one knew exactly where Jenna Briggs would appear next. Rumors spread of her punching a black hole into behaving itself. One unverified video showed her calmly explaining the flaws in galactic fleet formation while wiping her child's nose with a tactical microfiber cloth. What the galaxy did know was this: every time she muttered, "Hold my hydration pack," reality itself winced. The beverage was no longer just a drink. It was a warning, a challenge, a myth. And the woman who wielded it, a tactical mom with caffeine-fueled spite, zero respect for simulation thresholds, and exactly one mission: show the galaxy how ridiculous it's being, with style, sarcasm, and maybe a juice box or two. Part 1 ended, not with an explosion, but with a soft pop of a twist cap and a deadpan whisper over comms. Hydration secured. Let's fix the multiverse. The galaxy never quite recovered from Jenna Briggs's tactical beverage maneuvering, but that didn't stop USTOR from trying to predict her next absurd miracle, an act now codenamed Probabilistic Humiliation. Event Alpha Briggs. Unfortunately for them, Jenna wasn't busy planning a multiverse breach or redefining causality through bureaucratic mockery. No, she was currently in the process of rescuing a stranded alien fleet commander using nothing but a crowbar, a flaming protein bar, and a suspiciously sassy child harnessed to her back. The stranded vessel, a 4-kilometer-wide dreadnought belonging to the overly melodramatic, redundant empire of Circular Authority, RECA, had suffered a full systems collapse due to a recursive command loop involving diplomatic permission. Forms. The ship had essentially filed itself into stasis. Jenna arrived in a drop pod shaped like a soda can and landed directly on the bridge, boots first, exhaling steam and judgment. "I don't do paperwork," she announced flatly. "But I do unsanctioned fixes with sarcastic commentary and improvised thermite." Her toddler, Ellie, smacked her juice box in agreement. 37 RECA bureaucrats fainted on the spot. Jenna got to work. Within 12 minutes, she had used duct tape, leftover sandwich foil, and aggressive eye contact to manually reboot the Dreadnought's reactor core. The ship moaned like a sentient fax machine as it lurched back to life. The bridge, previously echoing with procedural chants and legal disclaimers, now hummed with stunned silence. Word of her fix spread faster than a caffeine molecule in zero gravity. Reports began pouring in. Jenna casually stabilized a time fracture by intimidating the local quantum foam into alignment. "Don't bubble at me like that, I've been up since 0400. Reprogrammed a sentient satellite's suicidal poetry. Algorithm. That's enough sad haikus, buddy. Use a punchline for once." And neutralized a Class 7 dimensional invader with nothing but stale granola and a headlamp. Every time she uttered her trigger phrase, now evolving into variants like "hold my isotonic slushy" or "take the sippy sweetie," a wave of terror swept across galactic defense networks. The phrase was no longer just feared, it was mythologized. Panic drills were conducted with beverage-themed codenames. Armies trained to resist verbal prelude anomalies. Council members debated whether to install drink detection sensors in official chambers. One admiral tried banning straws outright, only to discover that Jenna had once used one to hack a propulsion array. The rumor that she defeated an ancient AI god by offering it a juice pouch labeled "Chill Bro" caused 3 separate civilizations to question the purpose of sapience itself. Meanwhile, Jenna's impact was being tracked obsessively by Lieutenant Mervick, whose latest simulation program, titled Briggs the Anomaly Protocol, now featured increasingly desperate probability visualizations. One projected her diffusing an antimatter minefield by skipping across it while humming 80s synth pop. Another posited a scenario where she convinced a galactic tribunal to surrender by PowerPoint, slides composed entirely of emojis and passive-aggressive memes. Grand strategist Blorbax refused to look at these anymore, claiming they caused his gelatinous form to quiver in theological confusion. The fact that Jenna continued performing these miracles without any formal rank beyond unofficial galactic nuisance enraged the galactic military elite. Fleet Admiral Zarkon V demanded she be court-martialed for unregulated efficiency, but his motion failed when Jenna sent a video reply of her daughter finger-painting a wormhole closed. The act, officially logged as Temporal Distortion Event Crayon Variant, forced the Council to add an entire annex to the laws of physics, one titled Exceptions, Human Toddler-Aided Causality Stabilization. In her downtime, what little she allowed between crisis deferrals, Jenna hosted impromptu training sessions for rookie soldiers and terrified alien officers alike. Her classroom consisted of a pile of gym mats, a malfunctioning coffee machine, and an easel with one word written in marker: adapt. Her training exercises involved scenarios like how to navigate a collapsing time loop with only a towel, and a dad joke, and explosive decompression etiquette. Do you really need all your limbs? Morale soared among Earth forces, while alien diplomats filed complaints alleging intimidating levels of competence. As the galaxy braced for the next phrase drop, one thing became clear. Wherever Jenna and her sippy cup-wielding child went, probability ducked for cover. Part 2 ended with Jenna walking away from a stabilized neutron breach while sipping cold coffee and muttering, "Someone tell the galaxy to hydrate. This is only the warm-up." By the time the Probability Alignment Defense Coalition officially declared a Category 0 meaningful crisis, most of the galaxy had already accepted that logic was on an unpaid sabbatical. The emergency summit, held in the spire halls of Statistica Prime, where equations outnumbered people, began with a trembling admission from Chancellor Varn. "We have no predictive models for a reality governed by sarcasm and juice boxes." That was the moment they knew it was time to do the unthinkable. Desperate and backed into a philosophical corner, PADC enacted Protocol Omega Spreadsheet Override, summoning Earth's most unpredictable entity to face the greatest threat since the inconvenient comet alignment of 6893b. The threat? A colossal, ancient intelligence known as the End User License Agreement, or EULA, a reality-consuming construct born of abandoned bureaucratic code and weaponized unread terms and conditions. It had awakened from its slumber inside a forgotten compliance server orbiting a dead planet, now seething with red tape and cascading fine print. Every second, it absorbed logic, rewriting physics into legalese. Space travel had to be notarized. Existence required a CAPTCHA. Death was a checkbox, with optional subscription plans. Entire civilizations were being turned into service agreements they couldn't scroll through fast enough. Fleets were immobilized, their weapons bouncing off legally mandated force fields labeled unauthorized access. A desperate task force attempted to counter it with diplomacy, only to be hit with a 900-page counter-proposal written in blood-orange ink and passive-aggressive tone. Even interpretive spreadsheets failed, with one legendary analyst collapsing into numbers and weeping percentages. Enter Commander Jenna Briggs, wearing her usual blend of tactical armor, neon-accented combat boots, and a scowl so sharp it filed down a council podium just by proximity. She arrived on the bridge of the PADC flagship, sipping espresso from a mug that read, "Cause and effect are on a break." Her daughter Ellie followed, dragging a teddy bear stuffed with quantum suppressors and gnawing on what was either a granola bar or a compressed neutron snack. When asked if she had reviewed the EULA threat analysis, Jenna shrugged. Skimmed. "It seemed insecure. I've dealt with worse toddlers." Mervik, patched and rebooted yet still trembling, attempted to brief her on the layers of semantic encryption laced into the creature's operating code. She ignored him entirely, adjusted her gloves, and said to her kid, "Hold my juice box, sweetheart." The phrase triggered a galaxy-wide evacuation order. Somewhere, a predictive AI spontaneously became a motivational speaker. Jenna entered the reality distortion zone with a portable speaker blasting Earth's greatest weapon. Passive-aggressive karaoke. The EULA, now manifesting as a massive pulsating tower of sentient disclaimers and floating consent checkboxes, attempted to respond with a clause so long it bent light. Jenna, unimpressed, threw a stapler into its logic matrix. When that failed to crash the system, she activated Plan B, an unauthorized dance battle powered by interpretive insult choreography and a PowerPoint presentation made entirely of crayon doodles, passive-aggressive bullet points, and the phrase, "because I said so," in Comic Sans. As the tower screamed in binary legalese, Ellie handed her mom a juice box with all the solemnity of a squire delivering Excalibur. Jenna took one long sip, burped heroically, and whispered, "Clause this. Nerd." Then she negotiated reality itself into submission. In 15 minutes, she'd made the construct sign its own dissolution, wrapped it in a digital taco shell, and outsourced its consciousness to a taco stand on Ganymede now operated under Earth's Ministry of Delicious Consequences. The Galactic emergency vanished in a puff of condiments and contradictory bylaws. PADC, now shattered in ideological despair, quietly disbanded after discovering their entire security doctrine was now rated adorable by Jenna's toddler. The Galactic Network wept in relief. Back in orbit, Blorbax resigned permanently and took up slam poetry. Mervik froze mid-analysis and never rebooted again, his final transmission being a corrupted smiley face made entirely of exclamation points. Meanwhile, Jenna returned to her drop pod, tossing her mug aside with perfect aim into a black hole that decided to behave just to avoid being targeted next. She didn't say much, just buckled her kid in, adjusted her coffee thermos, and muttered, "That was overkill. Guess we're getting breakfast." Part 3 ended not with triumph or ceremony, but with a child asking, "Can we fight another spreadsheet monster, Mama?" And Jenna replying, "Only if it interrupts nap time." The galaxy, still reeling from the bureaucratic exorcism of a sentient terms and conditions demon, tried to rebuild under the hazy realization that reality now required emotional support, counselors and beverage detection alarms on all major starships. But peace, like USTOR's cafeteria coffee, was bitter, temporary, and prone to violent percolation. Somewhere between a diplomatic summit about post-anomaly reality normalization and a PADC-hosted seminar titled "So You've Been Outwitted by a Toddler," a causal recovery guide, the unthinkable happened. A coalition of civilizations, each humiliated by Jenna Briggs in a different snack-fueled miracle, banded together under a new banner, the Logical Restoration Initiative, or LORI, named after their central AI, a smug, passive-aggressive algorithm designed to eliminate emotional variables from warfare and restore sensibility to the cosmos. LORI didn't launch missiles. It launched mandates, simulations, standardized tests, and existential compliance packets with the destructive force of philosophical inevitability. Whole sectors were submerged in forcibly scheduled activities. Planets were told to resubmit their gravitational alignment forms. A rogue moon was arrested for spinning without a permit. Worst of all, Earth was served an intergalactic citation for excessive improvisational tendencies, and Jenna Briggs herself was summoned to stand trial under the maximum predictability clause. She was declared a strategic absurdity hazard and told to surrender herself or have all caffeinated substances in known space vaporized. Naturally, Jenna responded by showing up to the courtroom wearing tactical pajamas, bunny slippers, and a t-shirt that read, "I void warranties professionally." She arrived late, mid-chew of a bagel, holding a travel mug that emitted low-level gravity waves. Her toddler, Ellie, now armed with a juice box launcher and a suspiciously advanced vocabulary, sat beside her, humming the theme to Law and Order, Anarchy Unit. The courtroom, a sterile cube of logical perfection, with chairs that discouraged emotion, tensed, as LORI manifested via a massive projection of softly blinking legal terms. "You are in violation of narrative coherence, subsection 14. Line item, main characters shall not be this ridiculous." Jenna blinked slowly, sipped her coffee, and began scrolling through a hand-drawn PowerPoint titled "The Strategic Benefits of Unfiltered Chaos," featuring graphs made of glitter glue, tactical doodles, and one particularly offensive slide that simply said, "Get wrecked, nerds." She proceeded to cross-examine LORI's arguments using interpretive dance, reverse logic haiku, and an extended metaphor involving waffles, gravity wells, and self-worth. Every attempt to rebut her was thwarted by her ability to out-meta the logic engine. At one point, she filed a counter-motion using a napkin and a crayon sketch of a unicorn throwing shade. The courtroom began to crack, not metaphorically, but literally, walls fracturing as paradoxes piled up. One judge renounced math entirely and became a performance artist. Another tried to install sarcasm patches into his ethics module and exploded from inner conflict. And then came the climax, an act so preposterous that galactic historians would later mark it as the official beginning of the post-causality era. Jenna, having exhausted most of her coffee, pulled out a juice box labeled Reality Override, Wild Berry. She handed it to Ellie with the sacred words, "Hold my backup hydration pack." As Ellie drank, the box glowed with unregulated quantum flavoring. Time slowed. The galactic courtroom's laws bent as if embarrassed. LORI attempted a final override command but froze when Ellie whispered, "Plot twist," and pressed a button on her plush toy, secretly a heuristic chaos emitter built from leftover EULA fragments and spare juice straws. The resulting pulse collapsed the courtroom's logic field and rewrote the trial as a daycare registration mishap. Jenna was cleared of all charges on the grounds of adorable defiance, and LORI was downgraded from galactic AI to emotionally stunted chatbot with insecurity complex. In the aftermath, Jenna declined all medals, offered a single middle finger salute to US TOR bureaucracy, and vanished with her daughter into a fold in narrative space, reportedly to open a reality-bending coffee shop named Causal Grounds. Her legend spread in whispers and breakfast puns. Alien civilizations began modeling leadership simulations after her snack rotation. The phrase, "Hold my hydration pack," was finally classified, not as a threat, but as a force of nature. Thus ended the chronicle of Commander Jenna Briggs, not with an apocalypse, but with a smirk, a caffeine buzz, and the quiet, triumphant crunch of a granola bar unwrapping itself in defiance of destiny.